episode of the podcast. No, I am not joking.
No, he is not joking. This is indeed the last episode of the Breakroom Nachos podcast.
We're done. You're done.
It's over. Go home. The movie's over. Yeah, no, this really is the last episode.
Yeah.
We it's kind of gotten to be hard to keep up for both of us. And
when we first started the podcast, the circumstances of both of our lives were pretty different, I would say.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mike had just started the job that he's doing now, and at that time, he didn't have like you were practically working part-time. You didn't have like a ton of responsibilities yet.
Yeah, I didn't have a ton of responsibilities. Yeah. It didn't necessitate that much of my time.
But now Mike's getting more responsibilities, has been for a long time, doing a lot of work comparatively.
Yep.
Which makes a pretty big difference for him.
Yeah, it's really blown up. I know I've mentioned before that, in the beginning it wasn't anything for me to just cut out a couple hours early on a Tuesday so that Mack and I could record an episode, and that was fine. Now that I do not have that luxury on a regular basis, here and there I can certainly do it, but not at a set time every day. It would make it very hard.
Right. And on my side of things, when we started this podcast, my channel was like legitimately like a month after we started the podcast is when my channel started to kind of blow up, and that's when the Godzilla video started getting views about a month after we started the podcast.
Yep.
Before that point, I had legitimately 200 subscribers, and now I'm approaching 12,000, and the workload of my videos has gone up dramatically. It's just one of those things where I really want to be dedicating time to this thing that's doing really well for me right now, and I can't dedicate as much time to it as I want to, which is unfortunate, and sacrifices have to be made, I guess is how I would put it.
Yeah. And I don't know how much we've discussed this on the podcast, but we've had like some obstacles, and you moved, there's a time difference, which actually helped out for a while.
That was the thing I was going to bring up next. Is especially like a big change to the podcast was me moving.
Yeah, it kind of, not that we necessarily went in with a particular direction for anything. We kind of said that in the beginning. We were just gonna kind of let it do its thing. But it completely changed once you moved and we weren't doing it face to face.
I didn't expect it to be such a difference, but I went and listened to an older episode recently because someone had mentioned like something I had talked about in an old episode, and I didn't really remember it, so I went back and listened to it, and I was like shocked by how different it felt. Like it's hard to explain how different the flow of conversation is over like a remote thing unless you experience it for yourself. But like when you're talking over Discord, which is what we use when we're talking, it's every time I say something, there is the slightest delay to it before Mike hears it. It's very slight, but that slight delay completely changes like the flow of conversation, and especially how Discord handles audio when more than one person is talking, i.e. when like I interrupt Mike mid-sentence to say something funny. It's not very conducive to a conversation. And so before, when we were doing the podcast in person, we had a very conversational format where we would cut each other off. We would yell at each other, or we would, there was this back and forth in the middle of stories or whatever. And the way we've got it now, because of the way the Discord has kind of forced us to change how we approach that back and forth, it's more like I tell a story, then Mike tells a story, then I tell a story. There's less of like that conversational aspect and more of like, okay, back and forth. Here's your thing, here's my thing. And we don't really have as much of a dialogue over the things that we're talking about, which doesn't feel as good.
Right. Yeah. Well, the one thing that I thought about while you were talking about that, we interrupt each other now, and we interrupt each other when we were face to face, but not that we like intentionally were interrupting each other in person, but because we're looking at each other, you see that cue that the other person's about to say something. So you just kind of let them interrupt and you don't talk over each other. Right. Whereas, I don't know you're trying to say something until I hear you. So it does make it a little goofy.
I can't tell you guys, like you guys listening to the podcast don't hear it because I'm pretty easily able to cleanly cut it out. But I can't tell you the number of times that I'll like say something to Mike and he'll have started to say something too, and like it causes this awkward thing where he has to stop what he's saying, ask me, what did you say? And then I have to like say it again, and it interrupts the whole flow of whatever he was talking about, or whatever, like it interrupts like the momentum of whatever joke I'm telling, whatever it might be. And again, like I cut that out in post, so it's not as noticeable, but it's there and it changes things.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a lot of things that get cut out that make it better, and there's a lot of things that it sucks that it does kill the flow like that.
It does.
Yeah.
So for that reason, and for the reason of like both of us just have a lot more going on in our lives at this point, we decided it would be best just to take old Yeller behind the barn and put her out of her misery.
Exactly.
Which is maybe not the best way to refer to it. I wouldn't refer to the podcast as in a state of misery, but you get the point.
In that same vein, I will probably, maybe, possibly, if I remember, try to keep the social media accounts alive, in case, I don't know, maybe we want to do like a live, just goof around and just chat with some people one day or something, or whatever. If you have any kind of announcement, we've got those people in mind. So if you need to announce anything for your channel, I'll just keep things alive at least.
That's good.
Yeah,
that's good stuff.
Yeah, I mean, literally don't expect anything. I probably won't do anything. But
okay. If you don't expect anything, you can't be disappointed.
Exactly. But yeah, I'll try and keep them alive until they inevitably die. Well, that's out of the way.
Yeah. What's going on with you?
Let's see. Today is Valentine's Day, which isn't really a big deal for me for work, but we do see a little bit of an upswing in wine sales. So maybe added a little bit for me there. But last week I got together with our old boy Ken.
Oh.
I haven't seen him in, oh God, I don't know, probably like a year and a half or so. We just, you know how Ken is about communicating.
Yeah. Oh God, that motherfucker's hard to communicate with.
Yeah. Yeah, we just we grabbed a beer and just played catch up, and you know, he says hello, and yeah, good to see that dude.
That's awesome.
A real gamer.
A gamer, if ever there was one. He actually does game. He got me into Monster Hunter, which is one of my favorite game series now. So
yeah, I remember that was a thing that he would talk about, Monster Hunter.
Yeah, he doesn't really play it much these days because he is supporting the life of another human being. But you know,
that he is, yeah. Mac, I don't know if this is a thing where you live now, because it's not a thing everywhere. But we're in the middle of punchki season here in Michigan.
You know, I always kind of forget that is a thing until the day that it is a thing. Like I've never been a big punchki guy.
Okay, now I'm kind of with you. They've got to be really good. I'm not the biggest fan of well, okay, actually, for those of you who don't know, the best way to describe it is basically a really good version of a jelly donut, I guess. I'm not a big fan of jelly donuts myself. But punchkis, they come out every year, usually the weeks leading up to Fat Tuesday. They're like a Polish dessert. So they're only a thing in areas with big Polish communities, apparently. But I've always known them to be around. But I'm not usually the biggest fan of the fillings because I'm not a big jelly donut eater.
Yeah, I don't like them either. And like you know me, I like most sweet things, but I'm not really a jelly or jam guy.
Right.
And to have it like squishing out of my donut is kind of the worst.
Okay, the squishing out of your donut part, I don't know if I can help you with, but I had some next level punchki over the weekend, and actually it was the previous weekend, but we haven't talked since then. They were freaking incredible. So your normal fillings, they're like plum is actually traditional, but there's like raspberry, you know, strawberry, blueberry, lemon, apple. You know, sometimes you'll see like custard filled, which, I know you and I were not the biggest custard fans.
Yeah, I was about to bring that up next. Like custard versus cream filled. I'm cream filled all the way, baby.
Hell yeah, team cream right here.
Couple of creamy boys.
We're just some creamy boys doing what creamy boys do. Oh, so speaking of that, that's what I'm getting to. So you can sometimes find them cream filled, and those are pretty damn good. They're just not the easiest to find. My dad had sent me some pictures of some that he gets from this like local grocery store by his house, and they're cream filled and they're freaking incredible. And I was like, man, I really want one of those, but I'm not taking a drive up there just for that. Mac, I heard about this bakery. They've got I think 4 locations throughout like Southeast Michigan. but I will shout out to these guys. They are Luca Pastry, and they are freaking incredible. Mac, you would love this place. So I go in because I heard about these punchkis that they have. They had one. The filling was cannoli filling. And it blew my freaking mind. Picture a cannoli, just instead of the shell, it was the same filling squirted into a donut. Oh my
Lord. That does sound pretty good, I won't lie.
Yeah, that was freaking good. And then they had another one that was lemon mascarpone, which is like a sweet, like creamy cheese. So that was kind of almost like a lemony cheesecake kind of consistency. But those were both freaking incredible and highly recommended. I see they're pumping out some other flavors too. So even though I'm not normally the biggest fan, unless they're like from a really good Polish bakery, these were the tits, man. I'm telling you.
That's great.
Yeah.
I'm glad you found that.
Yeah, thank you. I'm proud. I'm glad I found that as well.
I'm so happy for you.
But yeah, that's all that's been going on with me in the last 2 weeks.
So not a lot.
Yeah, not so much. Pretty much the usual. What about you, buddy?
Personally, I've just been working hard away at this video. I've made great progress. I'm thinking at this point that a timeline of the first or second week of March for a release date is pretty likely.
Okay.
Which is pretty exciting. It's getting pretty close to done at this point. 2-3 weeks.
Nice.
And yeah, I'm really happy with how it's turning out, and I'm excited to show it off.
Cool. Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead. No, you go ahead. I'm leaving that in. I'm leaving that in for the sake of that's what we were talking about earlier.
Yeah.
just for anyone who's never because I cut that thing out so often, I'm just going to leave that there for them.
I like it. What are you thinking about the job? How's it going now that you're a couple weeks in?
I really love it. I can't say enough good things about the company I work for, the people I work for. It's really great. I'm really pleased with it.
Nice. You feel like you're getting the hang of things pretty quickly?
Yeah, I'm starting to. I've still got, a ways to go till I'm really solid and good, but it's getting there. It's definitely getting there. This week and last week, I've been working from home Monday and Friday, which has been really nice. Getting a chance to kind of do that. I feel both for the work itself and for my own work, from my video work, I feel like I'm decently, I don't know why per se, but I feel like I'm able to be more efficient, which is really nice.
Okay, good.
There's something about doing the work from home that makes it easier for me to just get a lot of work done quickly, I guess. But both of the Mondays that I've worked from home, I've been able to get way more done on video stuff than I would on a day where I don't work from home, which is not really something I expected, but I think part of it is I don't have to have that I don't feel the need to have that cool down period of okay, I'm home, let me get undressed, maybe sit around for a minute. I don't feel like I have to decompress as much because like I've been home all day already.
Yeah. Yeah, I get that. Yeah,
So yeah, it's nice.
Yeah, your unwind time is you're kind of already there.
Yeah, and then I spoke last week, I want to say, about the 4-day work week thing.
Yeah.
Something that we're considering pretty heavily. And yeah, we talked about it in my department because what it came down to is like we had a meeting and they were like, if this is something you want to do, talk about it with your manager and they'll kind of help you get it figured out if that's something that's going to be possible. So me and my entire team, we're kind of all for it, including my manager. And so we're having a meeting next month to discuss like the possibility of doing it and like what the pros and cons are. So like, again, that's just really cool to like have the opportunity to have that discussion, even if it doesn't lead to anything,
Yeah.
So yeah, pretty pog.
That's cool that they're like actually taking an employee's input and maybe using it.
Right. What an absurd idea.
Yeah, seriously. Oh. Well, that's cool.
Yeah, things are good.
Nice. Anything else you need to update on?
I don't believe so.
Okay, I mean,
pretty normal. Otherwise, I was just talking to you before the podcast. I'm currently looking for a new apartment, and it's tough, man.
Yeah.
I hate apartment hunting. It's the worst.
Not that I completely hate the place that I live. It's not the greatest place in the world, but it's big and it's cheap and it has all the amenities that I want. But I could live somewhere nicer, but that whole process and like moving somewhere that's a little nicer and maybe doesn't have everything I'm looking for and is probably going to be more expensive is not something I want to look forward to. Not moving for the sake of making like basically a lateral move. That's moving just to move.
Right. The main reason I'm moving, I talked about this a lot on the stream. I don't know if I've talked about it much on the podcast, but like my place is just too expensive for how crappy it is. Like if my place was crappy but cheap, I would love it. It's a fine place to live. My place is expensive and crappy, and they want to jack up my rent like $100+ for the new lease. So I'm like, nope, I'm out of here. Fuck you. I was already paying too much.
Ugh. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, my rent has, granted, I've lived here three years. I'm on my 4th lease, I guess. But yeah, I think my rent's gone up like, I don't know, like 150 over the course of like 4 leases, I think, total.
See, over that amount of time, it's not that bad.
No, like I think like the 1 year it like didn't go up, and then I think it maybe went up like 50 each of the next 3 years or something like that.
Yeah, that's not that bad. I'm so annoyed because like they sent me this letter that was like, here's your new rate if you decide to re-sign the lease, and it was like it's gonna go up like $100+. It's like $115, and they had this like bogus thing at the bottom where it was like, here's what similar units in the area are costing, and it was like $1,300 a month, and I was looking at this number and I was like, that's complete bullshit. You're pulling this number out of your ass to make me feel like I'm getting a good deal.
Yeah. Did you try to like compare and like check that place for yourself?
Well, they didn't like list like a certain place. They just said like in like similar apartments in the area. Like if you were to take a consensus of like all 1 bedroom, 700 square foot apartments in this area, you'd come up with like this average. And I was looking at that number and I was like, that's not true. You're lying to me.
I gotcha. I remember once when I was looking, there was one apartment complex had like, it was basically like an Amazon product comparison. It had like pictures of the signs from all like that complex and like 3 competitive complexes. And then it made like a list of all amenities that each place had and didn't have with like check marks or X's, and then listed like the price for like whatever, like a 1 bedroom or 2 bedroom, whatever. But it was like a side by side comparison. I thought that's what they were trying to do.
No, they just kind of put a number on the page and were like, trust me, bro. And I'm looking at it like I do not trust you, bro.
Yeah. It really sucks moving and finding places. I can't imagine what house hunting is like.
Oh God, sounds like a nightmare. I think I've been talking about this a lot with a friend of mine that I work with. And it's super frustrating, specifically in this area, because where I live is a lot like where I used to live in Michigan. It's a college town, but like the really frustrating thing about like the housing situation here is it's a very like a lot of people are moving here. It's like an up and coming town. So there's a good amount of development, but all of the housing developments are either student housing or luxury housing. Like there is nothing being built that is affordable and not for students. Like they just put this giant like 200 unit building in the middle of downtown. It is all student housing. And it's like so fucking frustrating. So your options are like, okay, student housing. I'm not a student, so that's not an option. Luxury housing. I am getting paid better, but I'm not getting, luxury housing better. And, whatever crappy middle ground you can find. And it's really, really frustrating because where I live, Eugene, Oregon, has like the densest population of homeless people per capita in like the country. Like we have a serious homeless population problem, and we're building luxury and student housing instead of affordable housing. It's really, really frustrating.
Yeah. Ugh. Yeah, I hear you with the luxury and student housing. That's the same thing that they're doing here downtown.
Yeah.
They put one in well, actually a couple. They put in, I know, a few years ago. You were still around for those, but they just finished another one, and I want to say they're working on one more. It's crazy. They're all either for students or they're like $2,000 a month for like a 1 bedroom.
Jesus. Yeah. Fuck that, man.
Yeah.
It's the real problem with the housing situation right now. This is another thing I've been talking about with my friend and on stream a lot, is with the way that like housing scarcity is kind of an issue right now. You have this awful situation where leasing offices or landlords don't feel the need to sell to you at all. Like they have no reason to like give you a competitive rate or like a good discount for like a month or like a small security deposit. They know you're desperate for somewhere to live because they know how scarce housing is. So they give you an absurd rent with like a huge security deposit and like the place kind of sucks and the amenities are terrible and they don't care to sell to you at all because they know you'll buy in anyway.
Right. Yep.
And that's really shitty.
Yeah.
We need to get to a point where they actually need to like give us a reason to move in again, because where we're at now ain't working, bro.
Yeah. Everything around here, it just keeps rent just keeps getting higher and higher everywhere. It's so freaking nuts, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, let's talk about something a little more fun. Come on, man.
Sorry. What do you want to talk about? Deez
nuts. Ha! Got him. Mac, you know what? There's a story. I don't think we've ever told this. And this was like one of your favorites. You want to tell the story about Harold?
Harold? Do we never tell that?
I don't think we did. Or if we did, I don't think we went into a lot of detail.
Oh, that's a wild story, man. Oh, fuck. That's a great question.
I thought about that the other day.
So this was while we were working at World Market, obviously. We had this couple come in, and they were a trip, to say the least. I believe I was working as the home department head at the time, and they were looking for furniture. Specifically, they were looking for chairs, I believe. Yes, definitely chairs. And so I ended up being the one who helped them. And this was like I swear it might not have been this long. I might be exaggerating, but it felt like a 2-3 hour ordeal dealing with this couple. It was they were both old as fuck. I think the man was older.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
Harold was considerably older than this woman, I feel like. And this lady was fucking crazy, man. She was like so obnoxiously controlling of her husband, who we'll call Harold because that's his name. Like, and I don't mean controlling as in like some misogynist idea where anytime a woman takes charge, she's controlling or something like that. It was like my man Harold would like go to move the cart. It should be like, Harold, don't move the cart, Harold. Leave it where it is, Harold. And she would say his name like a lot, like an unnecessarily large amount.
Yes.
And they would like look at chairs, and like we had this setup for chairs, living chairs, where we had them in this like big wooden fixture. And in order to like try them out, you have to like pull them out of it and like sit down on it, and then you'd have to put them back in. So as the home department head, and considering they were old as shit, I did all the lifting. Like I pulled the chair out, whatever her face was, annoying woman, I don't remember her name, would like try the chair, and then like it would just like sit there for a minute, and I wouldn't like immediately go to move the thing back in. But then like my man Harold would go to like put the chair away, and she'd be like, leave it alone, Harold. He'll take care of it, Harold. It's fine, Harold.
You're gonna like, scratch the legs.
You're gonna scratch. Yeah, exactly. She said exactly that.
Oh, God.
And I felt so bad for Harold.
Yeah.
Harold seemed like a nice dude. He was just chilling. And like like my man Harold decided it was time to go to the bathroom.
Yup.
And she was fucking like screaming at him through the door about, I don't even know what the problem was, just like hurrying up to get out of the bathroom. But she just kept like yelling at him through the door, like that horrible shrill Harold sound, you know?
Yeah,
I don't know what the issue was. My man Harold wasn't pinching it off fast enough, I guess.
I don't know. My man I swear my man was like 85, and
he was old as shit.
Yeah, like dude couldn't even go to the bathroom in peace.
And like, I remember her talking to me about like why she needed these chairs. And from what this one of those customers that you just find out more about their lives than you really want or need to. She was talking to me about how, like she was not Harold's first wife. She was like his second wife because she kept talking about her stepson. And that was concerning to me because I was like, why would you remarry this witch?
Right.
Like,
right.
What mistake did Harold make to like get himself into this situation? And the chairs these people wanted to replace, the way she fucking described them to me sounded like the most like metal badass chairs I've ever heard. They were like hunting lodge living chairs that were like made of bear skin, and the arms of the chair were like the bear's arms with like claws sticking out. And she wanted to get some more normal living room chairs.
Those sound pretty badass to me.
Yeah, like I and the funny thing is, too, like I felt like she kept trying to get me to like offer to take them off her hands, and I was thinking about it. I was,
dude. Those would have been sweet.
Yeah, I bet my man Harold did not want to get rid of those. That was all her.
Hell no. No, Harold was hanging on to those. Harold probably killed that bear himself.
Probably. Yeah, a younger time, a younger Harold.
Yeah, Harold gave me the vibe that he used to be a badass, but his body just isn't what it used to be.
Yeah. So probably the last the really big thing that happened with them that was really concerning to me. After like hearing this back and forth for like 2 hours, I swear, this lady like decided she was gonna go to the bathroom, no longer Harold going to the bathroom. And she like walked away, and Harold's a few feet away from me, and he's like this nice, like 80 or 90-year-old man. And after getting screamed at by this fucking witch for like hours, my man Harold like puts his finger up to his head like a gun and like pretends to shoot himself. I'm like, Harold, come on. What are you doing, bro? You got to get out of this situation.
Bro, you only got a couple of years left, man. You gotta
don't spend them with this crazy woman.
Yeah. Oh, I hope my man Harold got out of that before he was forced out of it.
Yeah, man. What a horrible woman. And then like when they like went to check out, and I don't even think they bought anything, and they were like getting drinks or something like that, and they like accosted Steve, who was up at the register, who I didn't think took very kindly to that.
Yeah, well, it's also
Steve didn't take it kind to anything at all ever, but
yeah. Yeah. I just, something made me think of that story the other day, and I was like, you know what? We got to have another good world market story in there before we wrap.
I honestly don't remember if we ever told that story on the pod, but like it is indeed legendary.
Yeah, if we did, it was very early, and it's fine. You can retell things over after 2 years. We're all right, man.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Shout out to my man Harold. What a legend. Total OG.
Yeah. Hopefully he's still with us. It's been a while. Yeah, it's been a while, and he was up there then.
Yeah.
I don't know if
she was definitely like before you move on, she was definitely I can see being hard on the anti-masks. So Harold might have been taken out the way of coronavirus.
Yeah. Well, that may have been his only way out. I mean,
I hope he's in a better place.
Let's just hope Harold, wherever he is, he's in a better place. He was an OG.
Yeah.
There's a couple world market stories that I don't know if I ever told, but it may have been one of those things where we were like, well, we'll save it in case we ever end the podcast or years from now or whatever. One of them was so we had the two computers in the office. Did I ever tell the story about how Ken thought he fried the computer?
See, it's hard to tell because I know these stories, but I don't know if if they were ever told on the podcast. I don't think so.
Well, this one doesn't need to go into nearly as much detail. But Ken, who we've talked about, and I just hung out with last week, he was an interesting character, but this was at the point where he was super checked out. I think he was like looking for new jobs or had found a new job or whatever. But I think he was like on a conference call and he was just dicking around and he like unfolded a paper clip and he stuck it in the one of like the USB drives on the computer, and it immediately like shut down and went completely black, and it fried that computer. Now that in itself is funny, but man, it was like probably the last month. So we're talking maybe the last week or two before I found my current job and put in my notice. I was so over that place. Oh God, I just wanted everything in that place to burn to the ground, mostly just because of Steve. Not the actual store. The actual store itself was fine, and most of the people who worked there were fine. But I was ready. I needed to get out, and our DM was pushing me out the door. But I was sitting there.
I just gotta knock on my door. I'll be right back.
Yeah. Okay. Fucking Mack. He's probably going out to drain his balls in his sink or something. Always doing that kind of thing. This is the kind of thing he normally cuts out, but I don't know. Maybe he'll leave it in this time.
Goddamn solicitors.
Jesus. The fuck did they want?
It was some like local ordinance vote thing. I just like signed their paper using a fake name and email address to get them out of my hair.
Nice. All right. So we were talking about Ken. Oh, yeah. So Ken fried the computer and I was checked out, ready to leave World Market. So I wanted some sort of chaos to take part. And I was sitting there one day and I was like, wonder if I stick a paperclip in there, if it'll do it again. So I opened up a paperclip, poked it in there, nothing happened. Started wiggling it around, nothing happened. I even unfolded the whole thing and made a loop to try to like complete a circuit back on itself. Nope, nothing happened. So it was just pure dumb luck for Ken, but I don't know. So that's one story. I don't know if I ever told anybody that I intentionally tried to fry the computer. The other one.
Did I ever talk about? I don't remember if I ever told you about this. The nap I took at World Market.
I know about this. I don't know if you ever told it on the podcast though.
We had for some reason it would get so. I mean, not for some reason. It's physics. Like heat rises. So when we were in the stock room, it would get really warm towards like the top areas where like we would store chairs and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And there was this big, we called it the cube. We had this like big block of like furniture and stuff that was just like, was mostly couches and chairs that didn't really have like a good spot, and so they just like wait there until we needed them, and we'd have to like dig them out of the middle or something like that. It was really annoying. There was this one day, it was like super quiet. There was another supervisor on duty, I don't remember who, and I was really sleepy, and I had gone up on top of the cube to look for something, and it was really warm up there, and there was this spot where something had been taken out. So it was like this big cube of furniture with like at the top a hole in the middle and like a little like nook with like a chair-shaped box. And mind you, chair-shaped boxes are shaped like chairs, right? So
yep.
It's like a nice little sitting spot. And so I was just very checked out too. It was warm and cozy. I was sleepy and I didn't think anybody would need me. So I just like went into the middle of the cube and sat down and fucking fell asleep for like 20 minutes.
That's awesome. That is such a baller move. God, that's great. Oh, fuck. Mac, I think this is a similar situation. I think I've told you this one. But this is the big one that I never said anything to anybody else about. You know that I'm the reason why we never had security cameras, right?
Yes, you have told me about that. 100%.
So, when I first started at World Market, they had the remnants of a very, very antiquated security system. It was like an old TV monitor and like VHS tape security. They had already stopped using by the time I got there. The cameras were still up, but there was no like actual functionality from it.
They were mostly just kept up as like, if someone sees them, they won't steal. Detractor, that's the word I was looking for.
Yeah, deterrent. Detractor.
Deterrent, yeah. Detract these.
Detract these nuts. Yeah, so then remember, like at some point, they were kind of making a push towards like getting new cameras. And they did. They put in like those dome cameras at some point. And then eventually they sent us a package with like a DVR, a digital video recorder, to record what was being taped. Well, initially, you know, I mean, none of us were happy about it. We were used to being able to like, you know, just goof around when we needed to. You know, just general hijinks.
Yeah.
So
nothing illegal.
Right. Nothing like that. But so the box came, and our manager at the time, who we've talked about a lot, Carissa, she tried to set it up, and this was nothing to do with me, but there was no power cable. So she had everything set up. It just it wouldn't, like, she couldn't plug it in. So there was no power. Well, she called like IT or loss prevention or something and was like, "Hey, I'm missing the power cable." So they said, "Okay, we'll send one out." Well, they sent it out with our normal weekly mailbag. And I happened to check the mail. And sure enough, I was like, "Oh fuck! I bet you this is for the security cameras." So I just grabbed it and I put it at the bottom of the garbage can and never said anything. And it happened. I think it happened again. I'm pretty sure it happened again. Like, Carissa complained about it, and they were like, all right, we'll send you one out. And I had to do that shit one more time. Yeah, I did, because that time I threw it away in the stock room, not at register 5. And then from that point on, they just stopped believing Carissa, and they never sent them. And our next GM, Tom, never really made a push for it. So we just never had security cameras.
He talked because he knew I was good at tech stuff. He talked to me about like running cables to like get it set up, but we never actually did it.
Yeah. I have a funny Tom story. I don't think you've ever heard this. This isn't even World Market related. This is just a story he told me. He told me about his youth in the outback.
In the land down under?
Yes. Our boy Tom from Australia. He said one time, I guess growing up, I think he lived in some sort of like I'll call it like a subdivision, to where like the streets like went in like a big circle, and like there were houses around like the perimeter and inside. That's how he made it sound. Well, he used to ride his bike around it because there wasn't very much traffic. Well, then he liked to try, like him and his friends would try to do it like with their eyes closed.
Oh, that's smart.
It was either their eyes closed or their head down. One of the two. It doesn't matter. Either way, they couldn't fucking see.
Either way, not a great idea.
Yeah. And so Tom was like, yeah, there was one day I just, I like had my head down, and he just like slammed into the back of a station wagon. Like a parked car.
Oh no, it was parked. It's even worse.
Yeah, he was just like flying through the neighborhood, not looking at all, and just slammed into the back of a parked car. Oh, fuck.
Dumb shit we do as kids.
Yeah, God. He probably didn't have a helmet on either. I don't remember if he told me he did or he didn't, but yeah, I know I never wore a helmet as a kid.
Fuck that shit, dude. You wore a helmet, you were lame. You totally should, because it's safe, kids out there, but if you wear one, you're lame.
Yeah, right? I mean, you couldn't even fit a helmet over that hair of yours. Because remember, child Mack had the exact same hair.
Yep, that's your canon.
That's my thing. I'm sticking with it. I thought of something just before the podcast that if we had time, I was going to ask you about. It's kind of a burning question. I got this pair of pajama pants, right? And they don't have pockets. They're just like a pair of drawstring pajama pants. And they have on the front, there's no like fly or opening, but they like stitched it to where it looks like there is.
Yeah, I've seen that.
And I mean, I wouldn't use it anyway because they're pajama pants. They have like an elastic waistband. Like, why would you waste your time on that? But that led me to think, the burning question, Mac, does anybody use like the hole created in the fly of the underwear?
I really don't think so.
I don't think so either.
I have never met someone who does. And mind you, I'm not exactly like checking.
Right.
But anytime like this subject is brought up, like no one is ever like, yeah, I put my dick through the dick hole.
Yeah, I mean, I will say there was a period, I mean, a good chunk of my life, like, I don't know, maybe 10 years that I was, maybe not that long, whatever, 8 to 10 years. I was a boxers guy. And some of those had like the hole without like a button. So that was like easy access. And sometimes they would just like open up on their own. That's one reason why I got away from boxers, because they're so inconsistent. Boxer briefs are just so much better. But
I'm a boxers guy still.
Okay. So how do you feel about the ones that like just have an open fly and don't have any sort of like closure?
I mean, it I guess I can't really comment on it. I had the pair or the brand I've been buying from for a long time has a button in there, so it's not an issue.
Okay. Yeah, I just wondered. I mean, because like boxer briefs do it too. Like they have like the flap over flap where it's like material with like another layer of material over it. So if you'd want to use it, you'd have to zigzag your ding dong through it. I don't understand.
It does seem like more work than it's worth. I don't know.
Yeah. And then my other question is, if you're wearing like pants that have like a button and a zipper, do you use the zipper fly, or do you like undo the belt, undo the pants, undo the zipper, take a piss?
I do the full thing. I'm always afraid that if I stick my dick through just the zipper hole, that like one of the zipper teeth is gonna like clench onto my my scrot, and I don't like that at all.
Yeah, there's no argument that that's a real fear. I do generally use the fly. But yeah, no, that fear is real. That's a real thing, my good man.
Yeah. It's like a primal, like inbuilt into all men thing.
Yeah, like
I just feel like it doesn't take me that long to just do the whole thing, and it negates the possibility that could happen, even if it's a low chance. So,
yeah, like, you know, you probably shouldn't put a gas can next to a fire. You know, like, it's probably a safe distance. Yeah, it probably won't explode, but is it really worth taking the chance? Probably not. Although I do generally use the fly, I will admit that. The weird one for me is, if you ever own any like button fly jeans?
No, that's odd.
They're not super easy to come by. There was a period of time where it seemed like a lot of jeans were coming with button flies. And you can usually still get them on like some higher end stuff. I think like the real high end Levi's that are like well over $100 a pair. I think you can get some of those with button flies, but yeah, I mean, you have to like undo the belt and then undo like the top button, and then it's usually like at least like 2 of the 4 like other buttons that make up the fly. But I definitely have just flopped over the top in an emergency situation. Like I had a pair that was loose enough that I could pull them down a little bit and just like, yep, reached in over the top. And sometimes when you gotta go, man. That was not a common occurrence.
If we even have any female listeners, I feel glad that they get to educate themselves on the world of men's pissing.
Yeah. I mean, it's whatever. I did have an interesting bathroom experience a couple weeks ago. I actually had this in my notes. I wanted to make a comment about it.
Mike, this might be the last story you ever tell on Breakroom Nachos. Are you sure this is where you want to go with this?
You know, I think I will go there.
Okay, great. I just wanted to make sure.
Yeah. It's really not much of a story, but and I don't mean to make fun of the person. They couldn't help it, and the store that employs them, I certainly applaud them for employing individuals that may have some learning disabilities or special needs. I was not aware of this at first, but then the situation just made itself worse, and I just removed myself from it. I was at an establishment, and granted, this is the first thing when I walk in the bathroom. The hand dryer is in full view of the door to get into the bathroom. There is someone standing there with their cart retrieving vest on. Okay. And they have their pants unbuttoned. And they've got one of those high-speed dryers just blowing straight down their ass crack.
No fucking way.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah. And like I'm at the urinal and I'm just like, I'm going to the bathroom and this is still going on. And I like kind of hear some commotion but I'm not about to turn around and look. So I finish up and at this point I hear the hand dryer turn back on again. He now has his pants down, just full on drying his junk.
No, dude, come on.
Yep. So, needless to say, I opted not to wash my hands and just exit the bathroom because I was not about to get myself involved in that hand dryer situation.
Jesus, that's a unique scenario.
Yeah. Like not making fun. I get it. Like can't help it, but that's still one hell of a situation to experience. I'll tell you that.
To say the least.
I do have to give a shout out to my buddy Matt. Before we peace out, I've given shout outs to everybody else that listens. But Matt is he's a rep for another company, and he is an aspiring rap musician, and he's actually pretty damn funny, and he's got some awesome cats too. So Mac, you might be into that. But check him out. I know he's on Instagram. He's The Real Chromatic. Chromatic spelled CROMATIC. I know he's got some TikToks that have been pretty funny. He did like a Taylor Swift spoof, and some of his rap music videos are up on YouTube. So definitely check him out. We had talked about trying to get him on here, but sorry, we ran out of time, Matt. That's the best I could do for you.
Yeah. And rest in peace to everyone else who we said we'd get on the podcast at some point.
Yeah. You got any parting words for everybody?
Do I want to be funny? No, just the podcast has been fun. I had a lot of fun doing it, and I am going to miss it to an extent, but it feels like it's kind of a necessary evil to call it a day on this, and I'm going to be putting the time I get back from no longer working on the podcast back into my videos. So if you haven't already checked out my stuff, the link is in the description of the podcast. I'm Captain Mack on YouTube. I put a lot of work in my videos, and I'd really appreciate if you checked them out if you want to see more of what I'm doing after this.
And if you want to keep up on the adventures of my goofy dog, you can follow her on Instagram at Lily Lupo, LILYLUPO. Yeah, Mac, I agree. It was kind of necessary. The time had come. But yeah, we had some good times. So it's sad to see it go, but maybe I'll have to give it a re-listen just to hear the difference throughout.
Yeah.
Well, with that said,
wouldn't feel appropriate to end it any other way. Suck a fat one, losers.